The Mound of Ormond, are we? Let's get a better view.
No way. Start playing more Hillbilly now that he has that buff coming in. I'm pretty excited for it. I used to play him back when like the game was still new.
He's getting buffered.
Yes.
Stuff. There's like quicksand on the roof. And stuff.
Yeah, what dev put quicksand there? The Blights buff? I wouldn't really call it a buff. I'm a P100 Blight main, and I kind of love the changes. I wouldn't call them buffs. I definitely think a lot of things got nerfed. Like, Crow and Rat are basically dead. Alkring is garbage now. C33 is interesting,
So
and it's a
they're
game
changing
changer, but yeah, they're changing a lot
stuff?
of his add-ons, yeah.
And you actually have a P100 Blight?
I do, yeah.
Isn't one of the people in here?
What do you mean?
Somebody's name that joined the Discord, you said.
Oh yeah, that's their name. Yeah, the streamer, I think. Their name is P100 Blight. I also have a P100 Blight, like, unironically. I think the second P100 I'm gonna get is Sheva, and then I'm gonna try and get Prestige 100 Tiffany, or like Chucky.
Do you play on PC?
Yeah, I do.
So do you know all like the hug text and sliding off of every object and all that stuff?
Yeah, I could teach you if you ever wanted me to, like if you wanted to learn.
I just never really played him much. I've messed around with him, but I felt like that stuff was way too intricate to master. Like, I would bump off of things that I'm not trying to bump off of, and I wouldn't bump off the things that I'm trying to bump off of, and it was just... I don't know.
Yeah, so there are some things that the devs have decided should be covered in butter for no other reason than they wanted to. So like on Swamp, the stumps are all butter. So any stump you see, don't go for it. Several of the trees are very slippery, like the roots stick out strangely and it just pushes the blight aside. And the hills, especially on Swamp, never ever ever go for the hills, because they will slide you all the way off into the opposite side of the map. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, from what I understand, you have to memorize all the areas and the things you can bounce off of and can't.
It's not about memorization, it's about recognition. Because if you can recognize what hitboxes look janky, you can kind of make an educated guess about what you can and can't bump off of. I said Crow and Rat got nerfed, as well as Adrenaline Vial got nerfed. Alkring is definitely nerfed, and Blight Tag is changed. Whether it's a nerf or not is up to debate. I think it got nerfed because it used to insta-down people and now it can't do that. And I feel like an insta-down is far stronger than being able to bump a couple extra times. Like, what are you gonna do with a couple extra bumps? Move further? Like, it doesn't give you any actual pressure, it just means you can move. Like...
So... who's more OP, Nurse or Blight?
Nurse, definitely.
But there's a Blight win streak that's far higher than Nurse.
Well, yeah, that's because his add-ons are completely busted, but Nurse's add-ons aren't. Nurse takes a lot more skill than Blight does, I'm gonna be honest. Like, to master and to consistently get 4Ks with, I definitely say Nurse is, way better. I know it's more than a couple, but like, be for real. When are you going to bump 30 times in one rush? Like, that's just not gonna happen.
What do you mean?
So his new tag removes the amount of times limit that you can bump, so you can bump as many times as you want. You can just go all the way around the map, kind of like Hillbilly, right? He can just go all the way
How is
around the
that a
map as
nerf?
much as
That
he
sounds like a
wants.
buff.
Because he can't insta-down anymore, and if you do get a hit with it, it's a 20-second cooldown. So he can't use his ability at all for 20 seconds.
And this is an add-on?
Yeah.
So you have unlimited rushes, but when you finally get a hit, you have to wait 20 seconds before you can even...
Yeah, and if you use all 3 available tokens, and you don't get a hit, you still have to wait for those tokens to come back.
Why would there be 3 tokens if it's infinite bumps?
So the tokens are there to count for other add-ons you might have. So like the Alchemist Ring buff, or, well, nerf, it change, whatever. It gives you 33% extra distance per rush. So if you ran that with the infinite rushes, there's only 3 times that you can get that extra distance. So you can only get 99% extra distance per rush, or like turn rate per rush, or whatever it is. I think it's distance. The turn rate is comp 33, right? But either way, it caps off so that you can't have infinite amount of turn rate and do like 180s in the middle of nowhere and still go straight. But you can still do an infinite amount of rushes. You see what I'm saying?
So what add-ons was Momo 7th using for his streak?
I think he was using Alk Ring and Crow. And the Crow is definitely strong. Either that or like double speed. I think it was double speed. I'd have to check. But with double speed, the problem with it isn't how, like, traversing the map is. It's how fast you move in conjunction with the survivor's ability to react to your movement. So if you're moving too fast for the survivors to react, it is a 100% chance that you are going to hit that. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, they definitely needed to be nerfed. I'm glad they got nerfed. I'm a Blight main and I'm glad they got nerfed. Like, I never ran those because they were just too strong. It made everything so boring.
So I asked Momo 7th what his, like, best strategy was, like how he's able to go on a win streak, like what was the most important factor, like was it, you know, gen patrolling or fast chases or stuff like that. And you know what his response was?
What?
I just tunnel someone out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, to get a win streak that high, I wouldn't even doubt it. I was watching YouTube yesterday, and I apparently stumbled across, like, top 1% Trapper, and he had to tunnel someone out no matter what. He had to run 4 slowdowns as well as 2 of his best add-ons and tunnel someone out immediately just to stand a chance in the game. It was so awful. I pointed it out and all of his stupid little fans were like, actually, and it's like, no, if you were actually top 1%, like if you were actually good, you wouldn't need that just to win against a basic Swift, you know?
I don't know, Trapper's pretty weak though.
But if you're top 1%, you're the best of the best, you know? Like, you
But
should
don't you
be
think a
able to
lot of
play
things
against a
factor in,
Swift.
like RNG and maps and all that stuff factor in to be like consistently getting, you know, like a win streak of 1,600 wins in a row or something on Blight, or what's the one that Nurse, like Super Alpha is at? I don't know what he's at now, but it's probably up in the...
I think he's in the thousands.
Yeah, and then Nightlight, I think, is the most impressive because He's got a win streak that's probably up in the 500, 600 something. I'm not sure what it's at now. But
Mhm.
he's doing it with Nurse with no perks, no add-ons, no offerings. So it's literally just base
Yeah.
kit Nurse. To me, that's far more impressive.
That's actually way more impressive because Blight couldn't do that. Like, I assure you, anyone that's good with Blight can be good with Blight, but if Blight did that with no perks, no add-ons, and didn't tunnel out the first person, he would not be able to get that win streak.
I just
And I
find a lot
mean
of things play a role. Like for me, if if I go to Hawkins map, with
mhm.
no perks, no add-ons. First of all, well, for me, I'm kind of new to the map because I wasn't here when original Stranger Things was. But to me, with for Nurse with that map, that's like torture. Blinks are getting blocked. There's so much clutter, and then like all people have to do is make turns. It's kind of like Leary's, except I don't even know which one's worse. Probably, I don't know. I'd probably choose Leary's to actually play on. Like I'd rather play on Leary's probably. But those two
So,
maps are
yeah.
the worst for Nurse. And I don't understand like how like a good coordinated Swift that's gen rushing hard would be difficult to beat on those.
The thing is for like the people you're talking about who have these amazing streaks is that either they are bringing map offerings or they're not. And if they are, then yeah, it's going to be easier, but if they're not, then they're proficient in indoor maps. I'm personally proficient in RPD. I can play Blight RPD like no other Blight you've ever seen. I'm extremely good at it. It's just something that I've practiced and practiced and practiced. Same with Larry's. I can do Larry's pretty decently, like better than most Blights could, I'm sure. But if you put me on Hawkins' Blight, I'm gonna be just like an average Blight. Like I'm gonna miss here and there. It's just about knowing the killer that you're playing to an extent that isn't just mechanical. Hawkins is fun for Blight? Dude, I suffer on Hawkins for Blight. I have to have adrenaline vial if I'm going to Hawkins.